Well, since premiering on Netflix last week, new series Adolescence has been praised for shining a light on incel culture and the dangers of toxic male influencers on teenage boys.
Joining us now to discuss whether adolescence should become compulsory viewing in schools is family psychotherapist Richard Hogan. Good morning.
Good morning.
First of all, if you haven't seen it, we're going to take a little look at Adolescence now.
Do you know a girl called Katie Leonard? Yeah? Describe each other as friends, then.
Is she dead, then?
Why would you ask her?
So do you think it would be okay if we speak about it?
I haven't done anything. You're a good dad, a great dad.
He hasn't been found guilty, he's been accused. What have you done?
I'm even holding my breath watching that clip. Richard, so good to see you. I mean, to say that this show has captured the imagination, not just in Ireland, UK, but worldwide, is an understatement.
Absolutely.
Why has it done that?
Well, I think the line in it that we thought he was safe up in his bedroom, I think that really spoke to so many parents, because I think we all thought they were safe up in their bedroom. I think we've maybe overprotected them in the real world and then let them off in the online world. And I think this show illuminates the fact that there are people up there that we were scared that were out there, They're up there. There's grifters, there's really bad actors up there. There's a lot of people like Alexander McCartney up there, and trying to get into our children's life. And I suppose that's what the show kind of illuminated, and that there's so many ideas that if you see the show, it looks at their school life, it looks at their home life, it looks at misogyny, it looks at masculinity, it looks at the relationship with their friends. It's looking at the whole system of what adolescence is now, and the negative impact and the negative influencers that are out there, working and reaching out and grabbing our children.
Yeah.
For anyone who hasn't seen it, just a little bit of background without spoilers. A 13-year-old boy is accused of murdering his fellow classmate, and it's the impact this has on the perpetrator's family.
Yeah.
It's all shot in one scene live. It is incredibly done from a production point of view.
Yeah.
But it does probably illuminate things like incel culture. Explain to us what that is, because this was new for a lot of parents watching.
This is the whole thing about Andrew Tate. So his whole thing is that this is a gynocentric world, which is like it's run by women. The whole world is run by women, right? And that 80% of women only want 20% of men. And that feminism and, say, cultural Marxism is turning boys into girls, pretty much, right? And so that they're turning you into a girl, and so no girl's ever going to want you. And then he says that women are generally hypergamous, which means that they like traditional markers of masculinity, like dominance and control and power. And so if you're kind of more, effeminate in your masculinity, no one's ever going to want to be with you. So be more like me. I'm a masculine man. Look at me smoke my cigars. Look at my Bugatti. Look how big I am. Look how my life is about fighting and all that. This is the kind of masculinity that you should lean into.
But what are the psychological factors that make young men so vulnerable to this, being influenced by this?
Well, Brooke, it's such an important question, because it's very easy to blame Andrew Tate, and it's overly simplified looking at Andrew Tate. We have to look at, why did our boys lean into a message? No, they don't anymore. No, they laugh at him. I'm talking schools all the time, and they laugh when I put up a video to show what he says.
Really? That's actually a relief to hear that.
Yeah, it's a relief, but they weren't laughing for years now when I was doing it. They were kind of going, Andrew Tate, he says some really, good things and all that. And, of course, he says some reasonable things. That's what a grifter does. And then they hit you with the stuff that they want to tell you. But we have to ask, why were they leaning into it, Brooke? I think that whole thing around toxic masculinity and alienating our boys and making them feel terrible for being boys, and that there was something inherently wrong with them. There's cultural things that we need to address. There's cultural things we need to look at how we speak to our boys. But to say that, masculinity is, inherently at times there's something wrong with it, it drove them towards, and I was writing about this for years, and I was getting an awful lot of abuse about it, because I was saying, we can't alienate our boys. We have to bring them in. We have to have positive role models. Where are the positive role models around masculinity?
Yeah.
Where's somebody showing it's okay to be strong? Yeah. It's okay to go to the gym. It's okay to take whey powder. It's okay to build muscle. That's all okay, part of that. It's okay to play rugby. That's all the stuff that was under attack there for a while. But it's also okay to be vulnerable. Yeah. And your emotions aren't weakness. Yeah. And if you get broken up with, that doesn't mean it's an affront to masculinity or to your very person. That's a normal part of a relationship. Yeah. And so we missed those messages. Yeah. We were telling them what not to be. We weren't telling them what's actually in place of that, that's kind of dominance, power masculinity, what's in place of that. Yeah. We weren't teaching them that. And so we alienated them, and in came a grifter to sweep them all up and said, they're turning you into an incel, an involuntary celibate, you'll never be with a girl, be more like me, and you'll have loads of money, you'll have loads of power, and you'll have loads of girlfriends.
Kirsteimer said he watched this with his teenager. Simon Harris has said he thinks it should also be compulsory viewing in schools, as did Kirsteimer. What do you make of that? Because as Brooke said in the ad break, there's something about art that can maybe hook you in more so than if we were being drilled over the head with this.
I would love our government to have really strong policies and not showing a TV programme that's on Netflix. I get it, show it in school, grand, yeah. It would cause a bit of discourse and all that. It gives, students something to talk about. But really, what do we need? Is that what we need as a solution? We need good legislation. We need good policies. You know what we need to do, Karen here and Brooke? We need to cut off pornography going into our children's minds.
Yeah.
I've been saying this for so long. Sometimes you kind of go, Jesus, why am I saying this so much? Because I'm around teenagers all the time and I see how this stuff impacts on them. I've worked in schools where junior infants and kids in first class and all that have consumed hardcore extreme material.
No,
we had a situation, but like when you think about it,
at that age, that's what you've actually experienced.
It's a pornified view of intimacy being foisted on our kids, and we're sitting there saying, well, what will we do about this gender-based violence, and why should we show this program to our kids? It's like, no, you need policies here. That's a kind of a soundbite, but we need policies to protect our children.
Yeah, but we don't have the legislation as of current. No. So what we're going to have to do is create conversation. And what we were saying was, this has forced so many families to have conversations. Our whole family stopped and only talked about this for 2 days. Could not get our heads around it. And art is supposed to inflict change.
Exactly.
So hopefully this is nearly a positive step and something we can look.
Well, it's positive because it's brought this into, the media. I'm around the media and all that. It's brought into, it's really interested in this. And in fairness, I'd have to say to the Irish media particularly, they're very good at bringing ideas around adolescence and the smartphone into public discourse. They're always interested in this idea. But we need our government now to step in and say, yes, we do need legislation. We have to cut pornography off as a matter of, immediacy here. And we have to have better digital literacy in our schools. And if we did that and we talked more positively to our boys, and we talked about these things about sharing images online, if we had more digital literacy there and we had that kind of conversation, we'd prevent from, what's happening here, what we saw in this dramatised programme.
But presumably we have to look, as a parent myself of 2 boys, 10 and 9, already asking for phones. It was like delay. It starts at home as well, though,
of course
Richard,
it does.
I presume. And we do need the anti-Andrew Tate role models, but presumably we just need to have that in their environment in a real day-to-day basis.
You're right, absolutely, Karen. We have to parent it, and we have to have, if you have a 14-year-old who's on a smartphone, you have to check that. Because parents would often say to me, but what about their privacy? And I'd say, what do you mean about their privacy? Who says they get all this privacy? They're 14, they're 13. They don't have the capacity at this age cognitively to be able to understand all of what's coming into them. So you have to parent it, and you have to get your hands around it, and you have to check it from time to time, and you have to give them a respite, and it shouldn't be in the bedroom at night, and it shouldn't be the last thing they see and the first thing that they see, and all that kind of stuff. And so that's just the parenting part. But we do have to cut off the pornography part too, and that's parents will do that through trying to look at their history and all that, but really we need to stop it from the source.
I wonder, is there any influencers out there that are a positive, a counteract?
Can you think of any, Brooke?
No.
I can't,
this
you
is
see.
What I'm saying.
I can't think of anyone because it doesn't actually get, the algorithms and the recommender systems don't care for that part.
Yeah.
They want the rage bait, the clickbait and all that. That's what gets pushed to kids, and that's why we need legislation too, you see.
We could talk about this.
I know, it's so interesting. I think it's going to keep rumbling on. Thank you so much for your take on that, Richard. Really, really interesting chatting to you this morning.
If you want to get in touch with us, you can get with us at 089 611 111, and there's also a QR code right there. So scan that and let us know how you feel. There's lots more still to come on Ireland AM.
Yeah, we'll see you after the break.